The information in this video comes from thorough research. Before you watch the video, do you think Giordano Bruno truly believed in his own views? Or was it just a philosophical theory? Share your thoughts in the comments. The universe is infinite, and in every corner of it, there is life and intellect. No point in the world is devoid of meaning and purpose. Giordano Bruno. In the 16th century, a time when questioning established beliefs was fraught with danger, one man dared to challenge the limits of human thought. He envisioned an infinite universe, saw divinity present in all things, and held that the freedom to think was humanity's greatest virtue. His name was Giordano Bruno, and his revolutionary ideas ultimately led to his tragic fate, burned alive by the Inquisition. His legacy endures as that of a fearless thinker who chose death over betraying his convictions. Born as Filippo Bruno in 1548 in the small town of Nola in southern Italy, Bruno grew up amidst the volcanic hills of the Campania region. Though his upbringing was simple, his environment was rich with natural inspiration. From an early age, he exhibited an insatiable curiosity, fascinated by the mysteries of the world around him. Traditional explanations failed to satisfy his thirst for knowledge, compelling him to seek deeper answers. At 17, Filippo joined the Dominican convent in Naples, taking the name Giordano in honor of a revered spiritual mentor. There, he gained access to the convent's extensive library, filled with theological, philosophical, and scientific texts. He devoured every book with passion, quickly distinguishing himself as a relentless questioner. Unlike his peers, Bruno did not simply accept doctrine, he interrogated it. He posed radical questions about the nature of the universe and God's role in creation, believing that the conventional view of a finite, structured cosmos could not truly reflect the boundlessness of the divine. His unorthodox approach soon drew the attention of his superiors. During convent discussions, Bruno did not merely recite established teachings. He pushed their boundaries, venturing into ideas considered dangerous. His studies extended beyond the approved texts of the Church. He delved into the works of Erasmus of Rotterdam and Nicholas of Cusa, thinkers whose ideas nurtured his belief in an immeasurable universe and a God beyond human comprehension. This intellectual defiance placed him in direct conflict with Catholic orthodoxy. Accusations of heresy soon followed, as Bruno openly questioned doctrines such as the Holy Trinity and rejected the veneration of saints. Faced with the threat of severe punishment, he made a daring choice. He fled the convent, abandoning monastic life in pursuit of intellectual freedom. This act of rebellion set him on a perilous journey, one that would cement his place as one of history's most controversial thinkers. For the next 16 years, Bruno wandered across Europe, traveling through France, Switzerland, England, and Germany. Each city offered both refuge and resistance, as he spread his radical ideas while facing hostility from those who saw him as a threat. In Geneva, he attempted to align with Calvinist reformers, but quickly found their rigid doctrines no different from those he had rejected. It was in Paris, under the protection of King Henry III, that Bruno began to gain significant recognition. The king, captivated by his brilliant oratory and daring philosophy, offered him a position as a professor. This period marked the beginning of his rise as a renowned yet controversial thinker, whose ideas would challenge the very foundations of the established order. Bruno wrote some of his most significant works exploring themes of the universe's infinity and the existence of multiple worlds. The peak of his intellectual journey came in England, where he found a more open-minded environment for his ideas. There, he engaged in heated debates with leading scholars, challenging both Aristotelians and defenders of Copernicus's heliocentric model. For Bruno, heliocentrism was merely a stepping stone. He envisioned an infinite universe filled with countless suns, each surrounded by planets that could harbor life. This radical idea, recorded in his work De L'Infinito, Universo e Mondi, was a direct affront to the religious and scientific doctrines of his time. Bruno's interests extended far beyond astronomy. his philosophical and spiritual ideas were just as revolutionary. To him, God was not a distant, indifferent creator, but an immanent force present in every particle of the universe. In works like Spatio della Bestia Triunfani and La Scena dell'Ucenere, he criticized religious dogmatism and championed the individual's pursuit of truth. However, a life of constant flight took its toll. Despite his brilliance, Bruno was no diplomat. His defiant nature often alienated potential allies and attracted powerful enemies. His insistence on spreading forbidden ideas shut many academic and royal doors, yet he remained undeterred. He continued writing and teaching, driven by the unshakable belief that truth could not be silenced. Eventually, Bruno was lured back to Italy under a false promise of safety. In 1592, he was arrested by the Inquisition in Venice. Even during his years of imprisonment, he refused to renounce his beliefs. His journey across Europe had planted the seeds of a new way of thinking, a worldview that defied the constraints of tradition and authority. Giordano Bruno was not just a fugitive seeking freedom. He was a pioneer who laid the foundation for ideas that would later be proven and celebrated. Despite relentless persecution, his intellectual courage never wavered, proving that the quest for knowledge is itself an act of resistance. Bruno's capture in 1592 marked the beginning of one of the longest and most infamous trials in Inquisition history. Initially imprisoned in Venice, he was interrogated and accused of heresy for his revolutionary views on the universe and the nature of God. Over the next 8 years, he was transferred to Rome, where he faced the Inquisition tribunal. His charges included denying the Holy Trinity, questioning the virginity of Mary, and asserting the existence of countless inhabited worlds. Throughout the brutal interrogations, Bruno remained steadfast. Unlike many who, under the threat of torture, recanted their beliefs, he stood firm. For him, the truth transcended human judgment. He not only defended his ideas, but also exposed the rigidity and dogmatism that stifled intellectual progress. The tribunal repeatedly offered him opportunities to recant, yet each time, he reaffirmed his convictions. The infinity of a universe, the multiplicity of worlds, and the divine presence in all existence were concepts he refused to abandon, even at the cost of his life. To the inquisitors, his defiance was a direct challenge to the Church's authority. Records of the trial reveal the tension between Bruno and his accusers. In one of his final moments, when asked if he would renounce his ideas, he responded with words that would become immortal. "Perhaps you pronounce this sentence with greater fear than I receive it." This declaration not only sealed Bruno's fate, but also cemented his legacy as a defender of freedom of thought. In 1600, after years of imprisonment and psychological torment, Giordano Bruno was found guilty and sentenced to death by burning. The Church sought not only to eliminate a heretic, but also to make an example of him, a clear warning that no deviation from doctrine will be tolerated. However, Bruno's trial transcended a mere religious prosecution. It became a symbol of the enduring struggle between free thought and those who sought to suppress it. On the cold morning of February 17, 1600, Giordano Bruno was led to the Campo de' Fiori, a bustling square in Rome that a silent crowd gathered to witness the final act of a trial that had dragged on for years. To some, he was a condemned heretic. To others, a man who chose to die rather than betray his convictions. Bound to the stake, his tongue clamped by an iron gag to prevent him from speaking, Bruno met his final moments with unshaken resolve. The flames rose swiftly, consuming his body but not his legacy. For the Church, this execution was a display of authority, a warning to those who might challenge its doctrines. Yet, instead of extinguishing Bruno's ideas, his sacrifice only strengthened them, transforming him into a lasting symbol of intellectual courage and free thought. Giordano Bruno's brilliance both fascinated and unsettled his contemporaries. His mind transcended the limitations of his time, breaking the boundaries imposed by convention. In doing so, he secured his place as one of history's most extraordinary and influential thinkers. One of Giordano Bruno's most remarkable qualities was his extraordinary memory. He didn't just study deeply. He developed advanced memorization techniques based on the principles of mnemonics, an ancient art that he elevated to new heights. In treatises such as De Umbris Idearum and Ars Memoriae, he devised methods for organizing information visually and symbolically, creating systems that allowed for the retention of vast amounts of knowledge. These techniques were so impressive that he demonstrated them in European courts, astonishing kings and nobles with his abilities. Beyond his memory, Bruno was a polymath of rare brilliance. He moved effortlessly across various fields, including philosophy, theology, mathematics, astronomy, and literature. His ability to integrate ideas from different disciplines led to a comprehensive and deeply innovative worldview. He combined the teachings of Hermeticism with the scientific advancements of his time, forging a unique synthesis that bridged the gap between science and spirituality. Bruno also possessed a vivid imagination, which fueled both his cosmological theories and his literary works. He described the universe as a living organism, boundless in its expanse and teeming with inhabited worlds. This vision was not merely scientific, but also poetic, reflecting his belief in the deep interconnectedness of all things. His talent for expressing complex ideas through metaphors and striking imagery made his writings not only philosophical, but also artistic masterpieces. More than 2 centuries after his death, in 1889, a bronze statue was erected at the site of his execution in Rome's Campo de' Fiori. Today, it stands as a silent testament to his courage and a reminder that ideas have the power to transcend time. Bruno's sacrifice was not in vain. He not only defied the intellectual limitations of his era, but also paved the way for a future where science and philosophy could thrive free from censorship. His story reminds us that the courage to defend truth, even in the face of immense adversity, is what truly shapes the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you have any experiences related to this topic, be sure to share them with us. Until the next episode, be mindful of the energies around you